All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first event of the day, Staying in Flow, How to Maintain Peak Performance in Times of High Stress with Matt Ritchey and Brandon Bozarth. Matt and Brandon have been working with entrepreneurs and organizations for the last decade, assisting them with team communication, personal transformation, and executive leadership. Their focus is on helping leaders communicate, connect, and create synergy around their teams as they build successful businesses. So thank you guys for joining us. You guys take it away.
Thank you, Adelia. Love what you
Thank,
guys have
thank
created
you.
here with High Day. So honored to be the very first guest of the day. Hello, everybody. We have people on from New Zealand. We got Ashley from San Diego. Welcome, welcome. I know it's early here in San Diego. We're just hitting the 5 a.m. time for most people using cannabis. We are not awake on a Saturday morning, but today we are here. We are present. We are excited and ready to go. Brandon, welcome. How you doing in Sedona today?
Oh, you know what? I think there's something magical about this hour, the 5 a.m. hour. It's one of my favorite times to be awake, although I'm very rarely awake at this time. So just happy to be alive and really energized, actually.
Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you. So, everybody,
You too.
this is our hour to connect with you, to drop some knowledge, to give you some insight into how to stay into flow, how to stay in a state of less stress, in a state of high performance, and to really help ground you for your Saturday high day so you can get the most out of all the other speakers and or take some stuff away that you can implement into your daily life moving forward. Sound good? Awesome. So, with that said, before we drop into any of the talking we wanted to do, we wanted to drop you into a very quick guided meditation so we can get everyone grounded, get everyone present, and get everyone excited for today. Sound good? So, I'm going to start this meditation. If everyone out there listening can get comfortable, make sure you're seated in an upright position. Make sure your back is fairly straight so you have good breath. And when you find your position, just start closing your eyes and breathing normally. When you find yourself in this position of comfortable position of seating, soft breath, I want you to start focusing on your breath and noticing what you notice. And in this state of presence, we want to drop into our body. Notice all the sensations, notice any thoughts. Just notice what is present for you. And as we get present, I'm going to teach you a really quick breathing technique that helps me and has helped many of the people I've worked for. It's called four-sided breath or boxed breath, I've heard it called. And this is basically 4-second intervals of inhale, holding at the top, exhale, holding at the bottom. You get 4 seconds on each repetition. So you're going to inhale for 4, hold for 4 at the top, exhale for 4, pause for 4 at the bottom. Repeat that over for 4 sessions of box breath. And as you hit the pause in those breaths, notice what you notice. We don't always get time to pause and reflect. We don't always get time to notice what is real in our consciousness. So as you're present in your body with your eyes closed, doing your breath, I want you to bring the sensation to the top of your head. And I want you to, from the top of your head, all the way down through your entire body, let this relaxing sensation melt over your body. Starting from your forehead, let it go down through your cheeks. Let your jaw relax. Ease the muscles in your neck. Drop your shoulders. Release any tension that we carry in our shoulders. See if there's any tension in your chest. See if you can let that go with your next exhale. all the way through your body, your legs, down into your feet and your toes. So in this state of relaxed presence, I want you to use your vision, use your visualization, your creative imagination, and I want you to imagine yourself walking towards you. Now, when you imagine yourself walking towards you, I want you to be super present to what you're looking like, what you're acting like, what your appearance and energy is saying about you. Notice what you're wearing, what your facial expressions are. Maybe you have a different haircut. But imagine yourself walking towards you, and you greet yourself, give yourself a hug, tell yourself whatever it is you need to hear, and let yourself integrate with that vision that you have for yourself, with that image that you carry with yourself, of yourself. And as you integrate with that image, I want you to imagine you're looking over a beautiful landscape. It could be a sunset, maybe it's a mountain, maybe there's a beautiful lake or water. But either way, I want you to hold that vision, and from this place of serenity, of peace, I want you to start to think about something that excites you. Maybe it's your business, maybe it's a new partnership, maybe it's something that you're super excited to do as soon as this COVID-19 quarantine ends. But either way, I want you to get excited about something and start to feel that energy start in the core, in the pit of your stomach, in the chest. Just notice that energy starting to build. And as you start to feel that energy, I want you to ramp it up 10 times more, 10 times more, and start to feel the excitement of yourself, of the energy that you carry inside you, and the passion for the things that you love to do. Now, as you ramp that up and as you feel the excitement starting to hit a crescendo, I want you to open your eyes, come back to the space, and be present. Thank you for everyone who joined in and followed me through that exercise. I hope you're feeling a little activated, a little more grounded, and a little more present to start our day. So thank you for playing along, Brandon. I saw you going pretty deep there. The act of meditation, the act of visualization, the act of getting grounded to start our day is extremely important for multiple reasons. But to really be intentional with our energy, to really be specific and set ritual to how we want to start our day, to what type of energy we want to bring to our day, is extremely, extremely important for how our day will go. So I hope this has given you a little bit of a quick basis for today, and maybe you can take some of this into your normal day so you can have some sort of basis in which to start your day powerfully. With that said, I want to introduce Brandon Bozarth. He is a good brother of mine. We've done work together in the past. He is a leader amongst leaders, and he's here to drop some knowledge and some really cool experiential facilitation here for everyone to really find out and really figure out, how do I get into flow? What is flow? And what are the triggers for me so I can get into flow quickly and easily on a daily basis? Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you for this minute.
Cool. Well, thank you for that, Matthew. I was definitely super deep. That was a great way to start the morning. And just before we dive into flow, just one thing about morning routines, rituals, these sort of things. It's not so much about what you do or how much you do. It's about the state of being that what you do puts you in. I'm a little choppy on my end, but can you hear me all right? Matthew?
Still there, Brandon?
Yeah. I'm just checking in to make sure that you can hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, great. Just because my thing's a little choppy. Okay, great. So it's about the state of being that you're in when you're doing the thing. For example, everyone can sit down and do the same meditation, but the person that's excited to do the meditation for its own sake, not necessarily to get something out of it, not to get or create a certain outcome, is the one that will drop into flow. And this will all tie in together. And a main reason is flow is where you and the moment intersect. And when you immerse yourself so much in the now that you create this hyper focused state that's actually categorized in the brain as a gamma brain state, or sometimes high beta. But this gamma brain state is the most cohesive, most synergistic processing experience that your brain can have, literally accessing old memories. Like I remember there's times, I'm sure you've experienced this, Matthew, where you're in flow state and you're just all of a sudden citing like third grade biology. And you're like, how did I even remember that right now? But your brain knew it was relevant. And because of the state of allowance that you're in, it can just pick and pluck information. And if we get, in the more esoteric circles that I'm a part of, you're not even necessarily there actually looking into this as far as the science. You're not even pulling from your own memory. You're pulling from the quantum field of information. And so you can share things, or art can come through you that you're like, this, I have no reference point for this. This is a new thought, a new idea. And you go from recycling old behaviors and patterns to actually receiving and generating new thought, actions, and outcomes. And I'd say one of the most prominent determining factors of if you're in flow is going to be how excited, inspired, and focused into the now are you, to the degree where you lose track of time. There's more than one variable to measure, but losing track of time, starting to experience synchronicity, being at the right place at the right time. There's a lot of different ways you can categorize it, but those are the main. So flow, like Matthew, we talked about before, is really the natural state. And when you're born, think about being a child. You wake up and your excitement is to create. You walk out, you get out of bed and you just start building Legos, or when you were a kid, or you start playing with something or drawing or painting. There's no hesitation. There's no what's going to happen tomorrow. Am I going to get paid later? How's my company going to do? What are the other babies going to think? You just get up and create. And then when you're done with that project or that experience, you're just on to the next. There's no hesitation. Should I complete it? Am I not reliable if I didn't, build this Lego structure or whatever it is? You just let it go and you're on to the next thing. Next thing you know, it's nighttime. And a lot of times you got to force kids to eat food because they're so in the moment. They're so living in the now. They can go the whole day and be like, oh, I forgot to eat, And so a lot of times this will happen a lot of times this will happen to us. And the thing is, a lot of times when you're living in the moment like that, you don't necessarily need to eat as much. Sometimes you don't need to eat at all, because your brain is actually, and there's a lot of science behind this, your brain is, quote, aging, not maturing. Well, those are different things for a different webinar, but aging more so on its experience of time, not time itself. So when you're experiencing less time, you actually age slower and you're smarter and your telomeres grow and all this cool science around just being in the moment, right? And I'll say one of the fastest ways to access the moment is to act on something that you're inspired about. And you'll start to build a momentum. Matthew and I have talked about there's levels to flow. You'll start to build a momentum where the thing that you're acting on becomes more engaging, more exciting, more all-encompassing, until you and the thing kind of melt and you become the experience. You're not aware of your body necessarily during the moment. You're not aware of time. You literally merge with the moment. And in that moment, all beliefs, all possibilities, all limitation is also gone, because you're not in the past. You're not remembering and thinking about who you were and what's possible. And so it truly is an all-encompassing idea.
So would you say that would be one of the main triggers for being in flow, is to be present to your current situation and to be in a state of not necessarily peaceful, but like in a state of calm, in a state of calm, like stoic presence.
Yeah, it's this combination of relaxation. So our body can't relax unless we have an inner peace or calm or a sense of safety. From there, we can then, from a relaxed place, have a intense focus, and the energy needs to be something that excites you or inspires you. No one's going to get into flow if they're doing something they hate. They might think it's flow, but really it's usually a heightened level of stress and adrenaline. But that's not flow. Flow is rejuvenating for the most part. You
Yeah,
know, it
I
might
wanted
take
to
your
actually
body
make a
some
quick
time.
distinguishing there. Being a former motocross rider, I experienced flow and this other state you're talking about, which is more like a rushed adrenaline, like, it's a similar state, but it's not nearly as euphoric. It's not nearly as high performance. I used to make a lot more mistakes when I would be more in that state of adrenaline, in that state of like kind of like, almost frantic, right? And you can still get things done. You can still be, you can survive and get out of the way of danger or do things like that, but you can't be, I couldn't be as creative. I can't be as present. I don't have as much autonomy over all of my faculties. I'm more of in a fight or flight
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And one of the key factors to entering flow is that the thing that you're acting on or engaging in is that you don't have any insistence on a certain result or outcome. And this will always pull people out of the moment. Well, I'm going to do this so I can create this future thing. So then half of you is in the moment, half of you is in the future. So what allows flow to happen is you acting on things for their own sake, because the excitement, the joy, the creativity that they just naturally bring you. And this can be really challenging for a lot of entrepreneurs because they go, wait a second, I gotta work on my business right now, but going for a walk just feels so much more exciting for me right now. So it takes a high level of discernment to go, okay, that might logically not look like the most productive thing to do, but you'll see more often if that is true excitement and inspiration to just go for a walk and that's what you need, you might get an idea on that walk that transcends the next 5 hours of work you were going to do in that day because
Mm.
you just came up with a whole new business plan. So that's what life kind of that's how you kind of live in
Yeah, and
flow. It's not just
I want to pause and put a
activity
pin in that
orient.
right there, just to have everyone remember that. Like, it's like, sometimes we, as entrepreneurs, we're push, and that's effective a lot of the times. And then sometimes there's a chance to pause. Sometimes there's a chance to, take a step back and not push as hard and see what comes to us, right? See what's naturally, after all that pushing, there's a momentum, there's an energy there to see then what's coming towards us. So we as entrepreneurs, there's an ebb and flow there. It's like, how much do we ebb before we let it flow, right? And I know I've had challenges with that in the past. We all want to be successful. We all want to hustle. We want to do things that make us move forward in our business and life. And sometimes, the art of doing nothing and the art of stopping and being present for a second is actually going to be more impactful. Maybe give you that idea. Maybe give you some sort of flow that can lift you up higher than you were going previously with your hustle and push and grind.
Yeah, yeah. And what happens is you'll start to notice there's this golden thread. And the golden thread is how things feel versus what they look like. And it's a totally different, you think of it like an iOS operating system, it's a totally different operating system to install to actually stay and flow throughout your day, is to choose things based on how much excitement, how much natural pull, how much inspiration there is. Because remember, excitement and inspiration actually generates energy. So a good key is that if you're working on your business or whatever it may be and you're not generating energy, you're probably, number one, not doing it in the most excited and creative way for you specifically, or you're just taking on something that's not yours and it's time to delegate or have someone else fill that role. So that's one of the key indicators is if I act on this, like for example, this webinar, because Matthew and I love this kind of work. Well, doing this webinar is like drinking a cup of coffee. It's like after this, we'll be a little more excited, a little more energized, and it'll go on and infuse the rest of our day with that energy.
Yeah, I'm not going back to bed after this, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So, with that said, with this idea of flow, you know, you and I are more experienced with it, but when it comes to being in the everyday grind as an entrepreneur, as someone who's building a business, sometimes we don't always feel like doing things, even if we're excited about them. Even if there's something we know that's going to take us to the, closer to the place we want to get and be, in the in the space we want to be. Sometimes it's tough to get excited. So I'd love to ask you and get a download on how you get excited sometimes when you're not excited, how you really bring that energy back and get present so you can create that flow as opposed to just going through the motions.
Yeah, really good. So first thing is to define what excitement and inspiration looks like, because some people think it looks like you're running around all day with your hair on fire, just going, I'm excited about everything in life. Woo! And if you don't look like that, you're doing something wrong. Oftentimes it looks like being excited to go meditate, then wake up and being excited to go to the bathroom, like doing the things that is the most next, exciting, relevant next step thing. It might not look like you're, running into a theme park, like, oh, every moment of my life. So again, let's not define it in a way that might limit what excitement and inspiration and flow looks like. The first thing, so two things. We either have a definition in our mind, a predetermined construct of flow and inspiration, following your bliss. These are all very connected. We can have a predetermined definition that sets us up to block flow opportunity. So it's first about looking at our definition of what flow looks like and making sure that's relaxed and loose, and that can look like whatever it looks like for you. There's no one right way. Number two is to see if you're blocking flow unconsciously. This will be the most common reason that we're not in flow state, is because we have some sort of unconscious block that says, if I do act on my excitement and it's in some logical sense unrelated to my business or related to my business, then I might miss out on something, or something negative might happen, or it won't be responsible. Where will the money come from if I just go full out in this excitement? I remember when I left my my business in network marketing that I was full-time in for about 3.5 years, and I had a residual income. And I remember saying no to that stream, that whole world, because it was no longer 100% representative of my excitement, although it was like 95% of it was great, but that 5% was louder than the 95. So I had to let that go, and I had no idea what was going to happen next. No idea. But I had a few next steps that I was really, really excited about. And logically, it wouldn't make any sense to have no savings, no plan, but to go, well, what are the next steps I could do? And for me, it was Facebook Live, writing outline of a book, going to the gym. And those three things, there's no logical, in that equation, there's no logical variable where that's going to create income and support me, right? But again, the flow knows where you need to go. That's another attribute of flow. It'll always illuminate the path of least resistance and always attract to you all forms of abundance. So I'm over here going, how the heck am I going to pay my bills? How's everything going to work out if I'm just doing Facebook Lives, going to the gym every day? It's like, I'm sure a lot of you guys on here are familiar with the law of attraction. Oh, what I put out is what I get back. So I should just have money arriving in my bank account if I'm just putting out positivity. I'm kind of just like waiting for that check. Long story short, I actually did have a check for like $1,800 show up from a court case that settled 4 years prior that paid all my bills the next month. And then, I put out a newsletter, and I ended up getting a client that I didn't even know I was a coach at the time, but I guess others saw me that way. And, one thing led to another, and 16 retreats later, here we are. So I'll go over real quick the most common, unless there's anything you want to say before I transition into this, the most common ways that we push away flow in our belief system. Because again, this is the paradigm shift. It's not that you necessarily need to learn how to get into flow. And remember, flow is very distinct. Flow is measurable. Science can measure flow. Think about the last time that you were so engaged in something that time was just completely, you had no experience of time. That's flow. And then imagine living more and more, even to the degree where you can live every part of your day in flow. And I know, I've had at this point many days like that, but it's taken a lot of time to integrate some of the fear and the unconscious negative beliefs that are the primary way that we keep flow away.
Yeah, before you transition, you'd mentioned, or you said something about triggers. And for me, I just want to just kind of throw this in there. Gratitude is actually one of the best ways. If I'm feeling flat, if I check in and like, yeah, I really want to do that, but I'm just like not feeling it, right? It's just my body, my mind, just not there. For me, I have a whole process I take myself through, but it starts with gratitude. And that from that place of gratitude, of really being, grateful for the opportunity to be able to create or do whatever it is I'm going to be able to do, to have that opportunity. It's just a reframe, right? Like to be like, oh, like I don't have to do this. I get to do this. This is something that I get to do, that I get to create in this world. It's something I'm actually excited about. So it really starts with that level of like, I could be doing anything, and I'm very grateful that I get to do this, that I can create this. So for me, that's like my base level. If I'm feeling really shitty, or if I'm feeling like, I just can't create excitement, I really just come back to gratitude. And from gratitude, that usually is a good starting point. Like, okay, I realize that I'm better off and or in a better position than, 99.9% of people on this planet Earth. And for that, I'm like super grateful. And I'm going to go out and get excited about creating whatever it is that I'm creating, that I know that is going to help and add value to the world.
I love that. Why don't we just text in what you go are going, just throw something in the chat. What are you grateful for this morning? That's really powerful. And I'll tell you what, when you're at a point, because the key here is imagination, I'd say the first step to entering flow is to stop before you take any action and imagine all of the options you have in your life, all the options you can act on, and really feel into those options. A lot of times, even this skill or this experience is so challenging for so many adults because of how we've closed off our imagination, and how routine we've become. So flow is spontaneous. You might do exercises every day to get into flow, but when you're in it, it'll take you different places. You'll have new insights. It looks like a squiggly line, but it's actually faster than a straight line because it's the path of least resistance. So it's about using your imagination and going, out of all of my options, which one feels the most inspiring and most exciting right now that I have the ability to act on? Obviously, if you want to go to Disneyland and you can't because you can't afford a plane ticket or whatever it may be, then you can't act on that one right now. So what next steps in my reality contain the highest degree of excitement and inspiration? And one thing that I do is I actually take each option and I visualize putting it in my heart, right? Your heart actually has neurons. There's a heart brain that is proven to store memory, to have a form of thought, and to be actually tuned into a quantum field. And so when you visualize on that center, that heart center, when making decisions, you'll feel what option feels lighter and more inspiring to you. If you have a couple things that go, well, this one's just as exciting as this one, this one's just as creative and joyful and inspiring as this one, then you might as well flip a coin. Because I promise you, if they're the same, one of them will pan out, one of them won't. So either one that you act on will kind of adjust your course. So that's just a tip to start your morning, right? Find a place of center, look at the options you have in your life, and actually let your heart choose the option. And it might be different. It might be something you totally never do. And that's the part where you're learning to integrate the mind and the heart and not really trust, but know that path, that choice is always the path of least resistance, and that you will be supported. So I'm just looking at some things that you guys are saying here. Power positive thoughts.
Yeah, we have some,
great.
some people getting live here since it's already 5:30 now. People waking up. We got Megan. Hi, Megan. Mariah is over here.
Nice.
Yeah, Diana. Power of thoughts, positive thoughts. Yeah, and just a really quick, just touch on that. I mean, the subconscious mind. They've done research on this. It sees things in pictures, and when you speak to it, it doesn't know negative thing, or doesn't know don't. Like if I say don't think of a pink elephant, shit, a pink elephant just popped in your head, right? So you can't say don't do something and expect that to manifest. You have to say do this, or if you want to lose weight, you don't say I want to lose weight. You say, or you don't say I don't want to be fat. You say I want to feel healthy, or I want to whatever it is you want to do. So you want to make sure you're focusing on the outcome as opposed to the what you don't want. Because a lot of times worry and all of this thing is just like prayer for what we don't really want to happen, right? The power of prayer is real.
Yeah.
I think millennia has suggested that there's power in saying what you want. So be very intentional with your words and being very intentional with how you say what you want.
Yeah. So from here, let's see. So Matthew, we have about 9 more minutes here before we get into our next segment.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we do have like 15 minutes left here. I know we wanted to bring someone on and go through a really quick activation. So I know we have some people live on here. So put in the chat box if you're willing to come on screen and have Brandon take you through a really awesome activation. We'll give you about 30 seconds, and if no one volunteers, we're going to have to pull one of the amazing event high staff on and take them through an activation for the rest of the high day.
So just to give you guys an idea of what we'll do, we're going to work through anything that would keep you out of flow.
You broke up a little bit there. Sorry, can you say it again, Brandon?
Did I chop up right there? Okay, yeah. We're going to work through anything and transform anything that would keep you out of flow.
Exactly. So like say flow, as Brandon said earlier, is more of our natural state. So that when we remove the obstacles that we're putting in front of us, or that are in our mind, or that are in our consciousness, we can easily drop into flow. It's not something that you achieve. It's something that you move things out of the way in order to drop into. So I know we got Diane over here, Patty, Megan, Mariah, Craig, Catherine.
Yes.
Anyone else out here listening to our voices that wants to come on live, be a part of High Day? And oh no, you're in bed, Catherine? Man. Okay, fair enough. Stop resisting flow. Yes. Don't resist when you feel flow. It's a great feeling. If anyone's out there wanting to learn more about flow, the science of flow, Stephen Kotler, he's an amazing author. Read any of his books over the last 5 or 6 years. He's actually the author I've read the most over the last 5 years. Stealing Fire, Rise of Superman, all of these books around flow state, and all the things that, all the ways you can activate flow, but also all the amazing performances and all the science behind flow, and basically saying like every major accomplishment ever, from sciences to sports to whatever, like these people are in flow states. Like you can, they're basically figuring out that you cannot, or they're not finding people who are able to have these high accesses of high creativity, of high performance without being in flow. Okay, last opportunity. Anyone else want to come on? Everyone's in bed. Fair enough. All right. Well, Delia, I'd love to have you come on. Yes. See, speak it and it comes true. We are powerful manifestors here. Welcome, Adelia. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
So I'm actually going to turn it over to Brandon. He's going to take you through a really quick, simple, easy process that we want to help people model so that they can do this on their own and help to jumpstart their flow state. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Adelia, thank you for volunteering, because everyone there is all in bed and afraid of looking at themselves in their bed and showing the whole audience, which is totally all right.
I would be too.
So, yeah. Right. So, let's look at the last maybe 48 hours can you identify at some point in the last 48 hours where you felt like you were in a flow state?
No, because it's all, we've been kind of go, go, go mode. Actually,
Yeah.
maybe, honestly, when we tried to get a couple hours of sleep, I did really focus on my breathing and just really trying to get in this like state of like calm and relax my body. Because I knew even if I wasn't going to get a lot of sleep, just utilizing that would at least give me enough energy to get through the day.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
sorry to interrupt you,
So
Brandon, but like,
what do you
I would just
feel?
love to, since you're not able to access in the last 48 hours, is there a point you can zoom out and really identify and really feel the feeling of when you were in flow at another point? Maybe it was something you did previously, maybe it was an achievement or just a time when you felt flow.
Um, I think in this whole transition over the past couple weeks, we were able to really quickly come together as a team and like pivot and find a solution to offer. And that was like just that whole experience really brought me to that. It was a weird thing, but it brought me to that place. Like it's a stressful time right now, but being able to kind of find a solution that could help other, like our community, or the event hosts, and also being able to learn something new so quickly. It was all just coming together, and it kind of, I think, brought that all into flow for me.
Awesome.
Nice. So the experience itself of coming up with High Day was a flow experience.
Imagine that. All great things come from flow.
Yeah. Great. So now take this for a moment. That feeling of, because what did you feel in that moment? Very creative, probably very in the now. You weren't thinking about future or past, right? There's probably some level of excitement and inspiration, right?
Yep.
Now, take that for a moment, just like as a state of being reference point, and then start to move forward. What was anything that you can identify from this point? What was something that, in a sense, took you out of that state of being even a little bit? What was something that shifted that state of being to either busyness, where you experience a lot of time again, like, okay, now I got this, and your future past, and things are slightly different. What was that?
So actually, that was a couple days ago. I know me personally, during stressful times or when hurdles or challenges come into play, I go into survival mode. So I'm like, solution, let's figure this out. We got this. And then 2 days ago, I've been going so quickly that I finally hit that wall. And it was just one little thing that happened, but that one little thing just almost broke it all, and I just like, everything just came crashing down, and I just couldn't, like, I just cried. And it was because, though, the past couple weeks, I didn't really recognize everything that we are going through as a society, as humans, or even within myself, with these changes.
Yeah. So then the question would be, what would happen if you didn't or couldn't find a solution? Because if here's a challenge, now I need to find a solution, right? Is the thing that puts you into survival, then there might be some belief that says, well, is there something wrong or bad if I personally don't find a solution? Could that lead to some sort of negative scenario? Right. So what would that be? Use your imagination. Worst case scenario, if there was no solution, what would happen?
I think if there was no solution, it would really probably hurt. We wouldn't be able to really kind of move forward as a company, because we weren't, everything would kind of go like quiet, because we are being affected, being a ticketing platform. So we needed to find some sort of pivot and solution for right now. So it would have affected a lot of things. Our team that's been working so hard, like, it was just a lot of things could have came from it.
Yeah. So this is the point. So why, just for everyone watching, why we're asking these questions is because there's a flow state that happened, which some sort of inspiration or insight, came through. was that going to come to fruition in the exact way that they thought of at the time? No one really knows, but it gave some sort of direction. Saying yes to that, acting on that, but then going into kind of this survival state that says, if this solution doesn't pan out, then the alternative might hurt someone, or might be harmful, or might create failure, or might create some sort of negative outcome. Then we get into this a little bit of a polarized emotion where it says, if I don't, it's like we're creating an insistence on an outcome. We're saying, if this outcome doesn't happen, something negative, something bad will happen. And so we will start to push aside things that we might give to ourselves, self-care, whatever it may be, our own space, because the opposite outcome of the positive one we're going for is more scary, negative. We're resisting that more than letting ourselves get back into flow state, because, well, I can't get back into flow state right now because I have all this stuff on the line, right? And so why I'm bringing attention to this for you guys watching is that the first step into getting back into flow is going through this process I call AFA, AAFA. Number one is I accept what I'm feeling. And so, for example, Adelia, if you were feeling like a hurriness and a busyness, which I'll tell you, feeling busy or rushed or like I got a million things going on is not a characteristic of flow. But the good thing about that is when we are outside of flow, that's actually our upgrade point. Like when we're ready to upgrade to a new level of flow, we'll actually be pulled out by something unconsciously, and our unconscious mind is going, hey, you're now ready to integrate and bring consciousness or awareness to something you weren't aware of before, to expand your total capacity, and then take that energy that's going to survival mode and redirect it back into flow so you can go even further into flow. So it's always a good sign to be like, oh, I'm in flow, now I'm out. Oh, that must be I must be ready to upgrade into a higher level of flow. But I have to identify what beliefs around busyness, having to get things done, and all of the things that may happen that are negative if it doesn't occur. Because in your mind, your imagination might go, yeah, you know what? If you guys don't find a solution, everyone's going to be screwed. There's going to be no money coming in. But what that's saying is that we think we know the best outcome, and we never do. You know, that if there was no solution, someone else could have brought something through that's totally different, that's 10 times more profitable, exciting, whatever it may be. Truth is we just don't know. Question would be, what am I making the outcome that I don't prefer, which is, well, if there's no solution, then it's, going to be a negative outcome. What am I making that mean about myself? If that were to happen, what would I make that mean about myself? That I'm a failure, that I am not creative, that I'm not supported, that I'm not going to be financially or personally or professionally supported, whatever it may be. And that's what you really want to find, because it's that belief that you could say higher self is saying, that one belief is ready to go so you can go further into flow than you ever have before. Because if you had zero concern about the outcome and you're just in the moment, paradoxically, you'd create the best outcome, which obviously you did create a really great outcome.
Awesome.
Is this making some sense?
This is good, Brandon. And, I put in the chat box the the AFA, AAFA. I wanted you to break that down. It's accept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So the first piece is to accept. So Delia,
Sorry, you broke
just
up there. Can you say that again,
part
Brandon?
of in your body, and okay. Yeah. If you just find.
Yeah, you're back.
How's that? Okay. If you can find the part in your body that says, that feels like, if you can find that feeling where it says, oh man, if we don't pull this off, then X, Y, Z, which we've just determined most of the time we go to worst possible scenario. It's because we've experienced that worst possible scenario in the past. and our brain's going, don't repeat it, that was scary. And flow is going, integrate it, accept it, so you can move beyond it, right? So it's just about finding that feeling and going, man, what is that worst possible scenario? Let me exaggerate it so I can actually bring in all of that emotion and be okay with that. Let my nervous system be okay with it. So that's the first piece. Let me accept this emotion of stress, or I'm being pulled out, or fear or anxiety, and not push it away and go into the patterns of coping that so many of us do: avoid, deny, blame, right? So that's the first part. Find where it actually is in your body. So if you tune into that, I got to get it done, I got to get it done, where do you feel that energy in your body?
Are you asking me, or you tell? Sorry.
Yeah. Where
Okay.
do you feel it? You just imagine.
I get anxiety. It's usually in my my chest.
And that's the majority of the place that you normally, we all feel things, right? Because that's like the epicenter of our heart, our energy, and just like it's mostly there, but it can be other places. That's why we check into it.
Yeah. So first, just let that be there and say, okay, what's that like? Know that all of us are 100% safe to feel these emotions. And in fact, the moment that we allow the emotion, we don't say it's good or bad, we just acknowledge it. Okay, good or bad, we just acknowledge it. Then we go into a place of non-resistance, and we can acknowledge it by just finding the actual sensation in our body. And I love these two words, going, this, and that's it. It's like you're not going, oh, anxiety's here, oh, something bad is here. You're just stopping and going, oh, this, let this be here. All this is a messenger from my unconscious mind. There are beliefs that don't serve me anymore. So take the first moment and just take a breath into your chest. This is okay. This can be here. It's just a messenger. That's step one. Step two is to acknowledge the belief. So like we did, I'll ask you this question so I can get it in your words. What if the worst possible scenario happened? What would you make that mean about yourself? What story? And obviously we know these aren't your stories. This is all stored in the unconscious mind from childhood, from our upbringing. So what's that hypothetical story? Well, I'd let them down, I'd fail, I wouldn't be supported. What is the story if that worst possible thing happened? What comes to mind? What would that mean?
It would, to me, it would feel like I did fail. I've had a startup before, and I was only able to bring it to a certain point until I had to make a decision. And so for me, I would question a lot of things.
Perfect. So take that for a second. So we're not making that wrong or bad. So with acknowledgement, it's all about, because sometimes we go, oh man, here I go with this old belief and story again, or my old behavior pattern, and we judge the thing, which just digs a deeper hole. So it's just about acknowledging that belief coming up in no judgment, no resistance. The next part is F, which is to find the fallacy. So this is where you ask yourself, is it a fact that if you couldn't find a solution, that you are a failure as a human being? Is that a fact of existence? Like there's gravity, there's physics. Oh, and then also Adelia, she's just an absolute failure if she doesn't come up with a solution. That's another thing that, God wanted to create. So is that a fact or just a belief?
No, just a belief.
Right. So even the laughter, right? That's actually a form of release, because our nervous system is doing what we do when we cry. We like shake it out. I might have done a little robot there. So it's about looking at that and going, wait a second, can I learn from that situation? And one of the fundamental understandings that I'll give to you guys now is that no situation, no circumstance contains built-in meaning. Built-in meaning There's no built-in meaning really in life, and that's why we have free will, because we are meaning-making machines. We can go, this means that to me, that means this to me. And in fact, the only thing that actually creates negativity isn't our circumstances. It's what we make them mean about ourselves. So you could very well make that mean, oh, I learned one way not to do that. You know, I learned that if I go into a stressful pattern, I cut myself off from certain solutions. So actually the fear of failure usually creates failure, right? But not that the failure is real, just an experience of failure, which can be a positive lesson. So was it even a failure in the first place?
No, because you do learn so much.
So this is when you just start questioning. Exactly. You start doubting your doubts and not yourself. And then from there, when you go, okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I don't need to avoid that. Then boom, you're out of stress. You're back into flow. You go, okay, well, if I knew I couldn't fail, let me ask you this question. If you knew you couldn't fail, how would that feel?
Feel good. I would feel like you can move forward easily. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe less busy, less like I got to get the things done, which usually paradoxically, they actually get done faster because you're more relaxed, more creative, more imaginative, all the things. So then once you question and you start questioning, man, what am I making this mean about myself? What must I be believing about myself in order to be feeling this way? Or what's the worst possible thing that can happen? And is it true that if that thing happened, that has to be something negative, bad, or wrong? Then you go to the final step, which is allow. And allow is, okay, now that I've let that go and I'm back to my center, I'm going to allow myself to act on the next most inspiring thing and go right back into flow. Not what I should do, not where I was a minute ago going, but which is the most inspiring option that I have in front of me, even if it's, I got to go to the bathroom. Great. And you choose from that different place, you choose from the heart, and that one next step, just from this new place of centeredness, is the next step back into flow.
Wow. That was interesting. I like that. That was good.
Yeah, cool.
You did break up a little bit there, and I just want to make sure everyone out there, if you didn't hear that, I put in some of the chat box there. The AAFA is accept, acknowledge, find fallacy, and then allow.
Oh, there we go. Yep, it's right in the chat. Cool.
Yeah. I know we're almost out of time, right, Adelia? I know we're pushing up on our end here. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Adelia, for stepping up, coming on camera. You look great. I'm excited for you to be present for the rest of your day here with High Day. So I'm happy that we could help contribute to your presence.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. You guys, everyone who's tuning in, don't forget there's a call. You can see the Join the Inner Circle button. I'll be dropping in a link for Brandon in just a moment as well, so you can actually continue to follow them and connect. Yeah, thank you guys. Any final words?
Yeah, thank you, Delia. Yeah, like say in the text right down there below, if you want to chat or click that Inner Circle thing, we are hosting every Wednesday. We're doing a weekly mastermind for canna entrepreneurs, people in the cannabis and CBD industry. It's all focused on business and leadership. Brandon is one of our awesome facilitators that we bring on to help people go through challenges on the leadership side, and then we bring on other types of really successful CEOs and entrepreneurs in the cannabis space to go through the business and all that stuff as well. So if you're wanting to get some connection in the cannabis space and mastermind with some of the most successful people, join the Inner Circle every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Brandon, and we just dropped Brandon's link in the chat as well. If you want to check out his website, he's up to some amazing things. I'm going to let him give a really quick download on that.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Adelia, for allowing me to bring you through that. And yeah, we have a lot of great tools and opportunities for you guys. We have a free group called the Presence Project, where we teach about presence. That's a free Facebook group with weekly calls And obviously, Matthew and I are up to a lot of great things as well. So you'll see a lot of that on my website, and also very active on Instagram. So if you want to be around this energy more, find me on Instagram.
Do it. Look them up.
Cool. Well, all
Thank
right.
you, everyone, for being present with us, for getting activated. I hope everyone has an amazing Saturday and enjoy your high today.
Thank you.